Good morning, students. I am Raman Gupta from Government College Bara, and in this video, we'll study a poem written by John Keats. We have discussed about John Keats in the last video, and in this video, we'll discuss the poem Bright Star composed by him. Bright star, the word is used for the star which shines brightly, the star which shines the brightest in the sky, and it is also known as pole star and so on. The poet John Keats, as we have discussed, was a great writer of odes. Here in this poem, the poet feels the premature death to come and fulfill desires as a hopelessness of a passionate lover. He longs to acquire longevity and firmness of his life. The poem is a personal feeling from the inner conflict of the poet in a peaceful mood. Let us discuss something more about the poem, and after then we'll study it in a different way. The poem is a sonnet. The poem is of 14 lines, which makes us realize his unfulfilled desires and approaching death with taking some imageries from nature. Though he longs only the steadfastness of the pole star, but his failure in love affair, his deprivation because of criticism, and his unending fear of untimely death become apparent throughout the sonnet. So he wants to live or die with his beloved in peace. If we discuss about the origin of the poem, the sonnet Bright Star was written in a copy of Shakespearean sonnet on September 28, 1920. While it was actually composed in a slightly different version in the spring of 1819. It is addressed to Fanny Brown. It is not sure who the inspirator of the sonnet was, but it is certain that the sonnet is a longing of a passionate lover, a lover of beloved and life both. As we know, the deadly disease tuberculosis has shortened his life. So, an unending fear of approaching death made him bewildered. Till then, he had neither name nor fame nor love and wealth. The sonnet reflects all these scarcities. The sonnet expresses Keats' yearning for ideal human love and hints at his own impending death. He opens his sonnet in a mood of request and longing for a long life, or to prolong his life for some days. He wanted to live, but he knew that his life was shortened by the deadly disease tuberculosis he was suffering with. Besides, he wanted to enjoy the love with his beloved, but she was not ready for that. So he wants consistency of life from the pole star. He sees towards pole star and thinks that pole star is consistent, its life is unending. So, why he does not have that consistency in his life? So, he desires the longevity of life from the pole star by seeing pole star, not for visualizing the moving water and falling snow on the mountains and plains. He does not acquire the brightness of the star as his own light is going to dwindle. He does not acquire the shine, the brightness of the pole star because he knew that his death was very near. He only likes longevity to live or die, lying his head on the mature breast of his beloved, forever in the perfect peace and calmness, away from the world and nature. There is sensuousness in this poem also because the poet had desires to make love with his beloved. So he wanted to enjoy the movement of rising and coming back to its actual position of his chest, but these lines are considered as sensuous a bit. The poet wants to convey us that the poem reveals the central idea that self preservation is the first instinct and love is to make it worth living. Besides, for a person who is near to death, should foreclose himself from the activities of the world to get a peaceful death. So he wanted to stop his activities because he knew that he was near his death, he was near his end of life. So wanted to have a peaceful death. Symbolic title, if we talk about that, the first and foremost feature of the poem. And pole star is a symbol of adamant, firmness, longevity, consistency, regularity, brightness, silence, peace, steadfastness, and so on. It is also a timekeeper, a watcher of nature. A timekeeper and a watcher of nature. It watches nature. It shines all the time. It is often quoted by the poets in their poems. It has deep relation with living beings, but John Keats in this poem likes it only for its steadfastness, as his days are numbered because of deadly disease. The poem also tells us Keats' relation with nature, particularly at the time when his breaths have been shortened. He does not like flowing of water and snow falling. He does not aspire for its brightness but longs for longevity. Keats escapism is well known because his poems are the mirror telling us that he took shelter in the lap of nature to avoid himself from the uncertain rubs given to him. But in this poem, he overthrows his theory. He does not like to join the company of nature, but he wants to keep himself away from it. Why does he do so? The answer is very simple and plain, that he has become realistic to face, to bear, and to confront with the perils of life. Keats believes that nature is a purifier. This is the next attribute of the nature. It tries to obviate and dispel darkness of sin, deprivation, fear, and suspicion. It also tries to make a man holy. The poet has personified pole star and moving water in this poem. So, we can say personification, which is a literary device, has also been exercised by the poet in this sonnet. Personification of pole star and moving star is very impressive because both the objects of nature have been given a consistent personality and a touring personality of high character. The pole star has been personified as an ever watcher of what has been passing here in this world. The moving water has been personified as a hermit who purifies human souls as he wants to give redemption from his sins. This is very important and very effective. Further, the poet calls for peace. He desires for peace. It looks that he is frustrated and depressed. He wants to enjoy peace, not in solitude like others, but in the company of his beloved only. He wants to enjoy the peace of solitude, but it was not a complete solitude, but with the company of his beloved. This was a strange kind of solitude in which he wanted to spend his time in the company of his beloved, whom he loved a lot, but she did not respond in the same way as he did. Further, we see there is spiritualism in his love, or his love is spiritual. How can we say it? He says that he with his beloved may get a perfect repose when there is no excitement, no love, and no desire for physical love. The words reveal the same thing, that is wanted to say that their love is spiritual, not physical, because they did not have any desire to make physical love, but to enjoy the spiritualism of love. So in this way we see the octave of the sonnet is beautiful in imagery and expression. The star is patient and watching with eternal lids, recalls the bright patient star of Hyperion Book 1, line 353. The forces of nature, the sea and the snow, have a purifying quality, as if the sorrows and the passions of the world were stilled or washed away. The fourth and fifth line have a swelling movement which perfectly conveys the apt ebb and flow of the water. But in the sestet, the last six lines attempt unsuccessfully to apply the ideas of the first two quarters to Keats' own situation. They are not related to each other in first book, but they have deep relation because the poet wants only steadfastness of the pole star to prolong his life. This is a personal sonnet, students. I have told you earlier. We cannot imagine John Keats without his personal description in his any poem. This sonnet is also not without his personal sorrows and sufferings. It is because of his awareness of premature death. He was aware of his premature death. His sonnet, When I Have Fear, is the best example of his approaching horror of the uncertainty of life. The very situation of John Keats forces him to steep his soul and mind in the color of death. So there are some symbols which poet has used. The bright star is the symbol of regularity and longevity. Its brightness is the symbol of knowledge, name, and fame. Water is the symbol of purification. The falling snow is the symbol of mask of evils on the mountains and plains. The rising and falling movements of breast of his beloved is the symbol of life, as there are ups and downs in life. So we have discussed this poem. In the next video we'll explain in detail about the poem. So is it clear, students? You can tell me if there is any problem, if you don't get what I tell you, if you don't get what I teach you, you can give me response, you can tell me, and I will make some changes for your convenience. So please listen to this video carefully, and if there is any problem, please tell me. Thank you. I hope you will like it, and if you like my videos, please click on like button. Thank you and have a nice day.